You know, guys, that intro really reminded me of that last match where Acor is just standing there with an op not hitting anybody. Right?
Just the bullets whizzing right past, actually.
Exactly.
Certainly some of his misses raised my eyebrows, so I was pretty disappointed. Can't lie.
You were in Forrest's shoes there. And as you just saw, our beautiful AK-47 trophy that will go to our Flashpoint champions. It will not be Mad Lions like it was last season as they fall at the hands of MIBR in our last match. And before we talk about a very exciting series, which is Big versus OG, I'd like to get my analyst's take here on that last match because they didn't have their say. And Maui, of course, he was praying to KN Jesus. His prayers were answered. Let's get a good Photoshop of him, like, his head on, like, the Rio de Janeiro statue of Jesus Christ with, like, a deagle in each hand.
Is this fake or something?
I love how my face just flipped, actually. I was angry before or kind of unsure, and now I'm happy because it worked out. Staying up late, thinking about it.
Is this a real actual screenshot of what you said?
Yes, I was literally typing this at 4 in the morning. I was actually really worried, and I had to call my girlfriend and be like, what should I do? And my dad, and my friends, and all my family, my grandma.
What did your grandma say?
My grandma said, Brazil #1.
She was like, how about just reach between your legs, see if there's any balls there, just make your own pick. Did she say anything like that? Or about, old-fashioned values?
She said, #Somos MIBR.
There we go. There we go. It was grandma in the end.
That's fabulous. So, hilarious conversation you had there, Maui. But why did you go for MIBR?
I went for MIBR because it just feels like Peacemaker, he comes up with these elaborate game plans for how to punish teams, but when he picks a map like Mirage, and it felt like they were going to get some maps that MIBR should be bad at, there's actually just straight up not a lot of data to work with. And for something about this Mad Lions team is when I watch them play, it always feels like they're anti-stratting. So if they don't really have a default game to fall back on, they don't actually have their own game, in my opinion. It feels like if they're not countering an opponent, they don't really know what they're doing. And I also feel like Hooksy has just been a choke artist. That's just flat out simple. I feel like he's been really, really underwhelming as a player, and he puts himself in a lot of tough positions where he has to frag.
You have any takes on that last series? Because I know you and I were both expecting that Mad Lions win there. What fell apart for them?
Well, the stupid thing is as well, Mad Lions somehow in the betting odds were the favourites. I assumed they were going to be an underdog, and that's why I couldn't wait for this day where I would get to pick Mad Lions and OG as underdogs. If I won out, I'd have all the points back again. Basically, first of all, the veto on paper, if Mad Lions are who they think they are, was perfect. They got literally the maps for a 2-0. They're picking Nuke into you. In that scenario, if you are who Mad Lions think they are, that's just an easy game right there. In fact, the third map's just insurance at that point in time. But as we've seen, though, even though they had moments in this tournament where they were very good early against Fnatic, obviously the series against Virtus.pro, who actually Virtus.pro going further and further, if anything, only makes them look better in that regard. Certain elements never turned up. So the #1 win condition for Mad Lions, it's the guy in the trailer, the guy we did a whole feature about. I called him out in my playoff hype intro. It's Acor. Where was the guy? Like, he had a number of series here where he wasn't even the best AWPer. Forget the best player. So if you get outplayed at your position by that much, and you're an integral part of this team. Remember, Refresh has only just come back to relevance. He's not supposed to carry an entire series on his back. So I know Acor said all the right things in that interview about, now it's like my time to sort of be a bit more selfish. So you didn't do it, mate. Like, you just chilled, and it's almost like you were looking around going, Bobski's surely going to take me over there. Because actually, I thought Shush played a great tournament. This guy's revitalized his game under the new Hooksy sort of hegemony, as it were. So there's some very positive things for the guys in Mad Lions. Acor's not one of them, and quite frankly, I don't know where the future goes at this point in time, because the hope was this whole tournament run would bring them back to relevance as a dark horse.
I will say one more thing also about MIBR as a team, is that for the last 2 months, they've been sitting in Europe, scrimming European teams nonstop. They know how European teams play, and Mad Lions isn't some outlier team that has some really unique styles. So all these scrims that they've practiced with, it's basically practice for a team that's like Mad Lions. And I'm sure that their practice partners are actually better than Mad Lions for the most part. So, and also, on the Mad Lions side, they haven't really practiced against a Brazilian team ever. They didn't know what to expect. And it's very different coming into the game with a game plan saying, this is how we beat this team, this is how we exploit them, versus actually seeing Lucas and Palace spraying both of you down. Like, what do you do at that point? There's no game planning at that point.
Yeah, really rough, too. I mean, watching that first map was just painful. But let's move on to a series that should be a little bit more hype, and one that we did not expect to be seeing this early in the losers bracket, because these are two tournament favorites. What are Big and OG doing down here, guys?
This could have been the final. I mean,
Yes.
in terms of world ranking, it actually should be. And obviously, it is a match that over the last 3.5, 4 months has been a consistent matchup that has basically determined who goes to the finals of tournaments, who potentially wins tournaments, because Big were the dominant team of the summer, still a very good team, but not quite the tournament favourite. And then OG, they've been peaking the last, say, like month and a half or so.
Yeah, I would say the same, that Big, they had a really good run in the summer, but they still have that number 5 ranking in the world, so you can't forget that, and the star power on this team is still incredibly high. For this team to win, they don't even need Tapsin, who many people who probably have been following Counter-Strike for a couple of years would think is their star. He's actually usually their 3rd, if not 4th best player in the server. It's actually been Surson and Xantares who've been really capitalizing on this roster. And Surson in particular, he is one of the main reasons that this team thrives on the CT side. He gets to do whatever he wants at any given time. And Xantares, it always feels like he's set up in the right positions to make his aim work. And on top of that, Tizian is actually having one of the best tournaments he's had all year right now. The fact that he's coming up in the clutch so many times for them, it's a weapon that this team and their opponents didn't even know they had.
I don't even think it's necessarily a massive, like, blight on their record that they lost to Virtus Pro even. Like, you looked in this tournament, yes, they've had a few close games. They seem to have played a little bit down to their opponents. But if anything, Virtus Pro has been consistently one of the better teams in the entire tournament. Like, it was only OG who was able to put them down. So I know in terms of the rankings, again, there's the disparity. But as we've seen in the last month or so, you can throw the rankings out. Like, some of that stuff hasn't carried over. The tournament has sort of reset a lot of the teams. So the positives for Big of this is, first of all, as he said there, Tapsin doesn't even have to be a star. Even Xantares doesn't have to carry the game. It's not like an A-core type scenario. But they've got such depth in the team. The map pool, it has certainly looked a bit ropey in terms of where they've tried to go. But in terms of the records on paper, the map pool is still there. They can still have a lot of things that have practiced and worked in past games that they've won, even against this team they're going to play now. And I think also there's the experience factor that they have had those championships earlier in the summer. Like, this isn't just like a team where it's all the potential. In theory, they've already done it, and we're still online. So it's not like we're in some new environment they haven't played in. It's just that maybe they haven't competed for the big prize money yet. That's probably the only factor that we're introducing new for the big team.
Yeah, and even if we can say that they're playing down to the level of their opponents, they still have only lost one match here at Flashpoint. Now, they haven't had the clean 2-0 victories either, so they've dropped a bunch of maps, which we might not have expected, but overall their performance has been there, and it has been getting them most of the wins. Now, the other side of this is OG, who has had some really shocking upsets in this tournament, but in their group, they crawled out of that losers bracket, pretty much devastated everybody on the way to that first place. Now they get knocked out once again in the quarterfinals, but are they making the salty run back?
Well, the good news is, who did they get beaten by? MIBR. As MIBR has shown us, you cannot ever count this count. They're never really a true underdog, apparently in Flashpoint 2 only. So actually, that doesn't even look that bad all of a sudden. Like, MIBR's looking like they might even make it to the final, guys. This is ridiculous. So there's a world in which I think you look at OG, and this is all about only OG. It's not about any of the teams they played. I don't even care that they played Gen G and Gen G had the overperformance. OG let them win that match in the sense that OG are the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team. The Jekyll side of it, the side that's good, they could win the whole tournament. They have the pieces too. They even have a half-decent map pool. I think they have the best IGL, arguably, in the tournament at this point in time. The Hyde side, though, is really gross. Like, they can get 2-0 by a lot of teams as well. And the problem with their veto is, their veto relies on them being amazing on their map. If they aren't, then they can also get 2-0 by a lot of the teams.
Yeah, every time you bring up OG in this tournament, you have to bring up the mental game because it feels like that's what slips for them the most at times. The fact that Alexi B has to be one of their best fraggers, the best caller for this team, and just keep all the emotions in check, it puts so much weight on his shoulders. So I'm looking for a couple of the veterans on this team to try to step up and keep them in order.
And there is one player who's been absolutely a stud on the OG roster in spite of some of these losses, and that's Valde, who is tied with Crims for the #1 ranking in HLTV in the course of Flashpoint 2 so far. And I know you've been loving watching him play, Maui.
Yeah, the thing about Valde is that he's doing incredibly well. He's probably the best rifler right now at Flashpoint 2. The problem is that he plays a lot of these positions where he can't always have the most impact. Long A on Dust 2, ramp on Nuke. These are spots where you don't really have too many options. It's very binary. Just either take the fight or fall back. But as you can see in these highlights right here, he actually takes these fights and finds multi-frags consistently. And that's where he elevates his team, because he is actually locking down positions on the map. He is conditioning other teams to respect him and the positions that he plays solo, by himself. So OG, they don't need to try to help Valde out at any given point. You can just let him do what he needs to do, and he's going to find you that multi-frag. But it's the other players on the team that need to come up. It's NBK and Issa. The dynamic that these two players have, it's been ropey throughout the year.
In case it wasn't clear, another thing Maui is smelling out there is, true, he also can't have as much impact. That's because he's supposed to be playing the positions that are almost the throwaway positions. Like, you know that guy's going to be one and done and just be over. Like, you're not going to put your best player in those positions. So it actually shows, look at Valde's career history. He came in, he was like coming up under people like Config when he was in North. Then he got his chance to shine. He was one of the best players in the whole world. Then he was an in-game leader. Now he's in this OG team where he's trying to fit in around a lot of disparate elements that have never played together. So I think he's doing an amazing job. In context of his role, I would agree, probably the best player maybe in the whole tournament. The issue is, it's not him who's going to be able to win big series against teams like Big. He can perform as well as he wants. It's going to have to be people like Issa, people like Mantu. They've got to be absolutely on the money.
Yeah, and so we're going to see if they can be that today, and especially as we go into our picks and bans right now. I want to get this right underway so we can get the substantive analysis done. Bans should be easy here, right?
It's obvious.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, OG always banned Vertigo. Like, spoiler, I don't think Big have been enjoying Vertigo anyway. But this is where, actually, this is the perfect team for OG to play, because we all know that Big Clan does not want to play Train. And if you saw what happened to OG against Gen G in the opening map of the series, of the tournament, in fact, they didn't like that either. So now the good news is this. These teams have played 5 times in the last 4 or so months. It's always Dust 2 Inferno and maybe Mirage. Like, those are the 3 maps they always want to play. So the question here is just, does anyone want to fuck around with Nuke? If not, we can just go ahead, agree to the duel, shake hands, get your seconds ready, and we can agree to a Dust 2 Inferno, potentially Mirage series. So in this scenario, like, which one would you actually prefer? I know in theory you know this one, Maui, but where do you think they should go if they're the Big Clan? Like, history says Dust 2, right?
Yeah, I think they should be going Dust 2, but if they want to change it up, because they lost the last match against OG on Dust 2, they lost 16-9 in that one. If they bring it to Mirage, I actually think they have a better chance to win that one, because it's been a little bit rocky for OG on that map, but I really do expect the mirror match. I expect another rematch of the same exact maps we've been seeing over and over, so Big will be picking the Dust 2, and yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting that once again, but that leads to a lot of back and forth, a lot of just meta decisions that both of these teams now really know each other, and we are literally getting the same veto we've gotten, I think, every single time that these two teams have played against each other. So it's really just up to, can Alexi B outcall Big moving forward? Can Tabson outcall Alexi B? I feel like this is an IGL versus IGL matchup, because in a lot of these matchups, there's no individual player that's always taking over the game. A lot of it is just kind of how they move around each other. And I love that the initial battleground is on Inferno, because OG have such a nice style that they play, and Alexi B, he's gotten to watch Big now. He had a day off. They got to prep a little bit. Maybe he can throw something new into his playbook. If he saw a weakness the other day from Big, he can actually include that and maybe get that one needed gun round that they might need to push themselves over the edge.
What's perfect is, I know one of the flaws, because I actually tried to study from interviews the psychology of the in-game leaders when they're making these picks. They don't just go off win rate. A classic confirmation bias is, did I beat this team on that recently? So because they've had a back and forth where, like, OG won the first of the 5, then the next 3 all went to Big, and then OG won the most recent one, they can all just find that memory in the back of their head, like, oh, I remember when I beat them on Dust 2. It's like, yeah, they beat you as well, but that's what's going to make the series great, is nobody's trying to go to the edges of the map pool. Nobody's trying to do anything silly like Mad Lions just pulled out. We're just going to stick with our strengths and may the better team win.
Well, let's take a look at some of the stats from Inferno, since that's going to be our first map up here. We can look at the CT and T sides. It will be the CT side first. So, OG, 54% so far on the CT side of Inferno.
That is a really bad conversion rate. Or
it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, for Big on the
you
CT
get an
side.
open kill, come on.
That's not acceptable, actually. 62% and the 46% win percentage overall.
That's with 60% opening kills as well.
Yeah, that's just, that's not a great look at all.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And by the way, this whole tournament, they've been a bit ropey CT side. The squad's cost them.
Yeah. So I'm going to be looking out because when OG starts on the T side, which they likely will, given
Yes,
that Big
they will.
has the option here, I think that OG can just pick them apart. I think that they know the game and the style of Big. But the last time Big actually played against OG, they threw a lot of wrenches into the works. They were doing pushes down middle. They were trying to just upset the balance of the map in such a way so that they wouldn't have to play the standard game, because OG has proved at this point that they are better at the standard game on Inferno.
Look at the stats on the T side at the bottom of the screen, the 5v4 and the 4v5. So 5v4, understandably, every team who's good is probably going to be around the 70%. Like, you're supposed to win from there. But look at how much higher it is for 4v5 for Big. That's one of the problems I see for OG in this series, is they're a team who almost has to front run a lot of these scenarios. They can't be getting into like broken round 3v3 type situations, unless, by the way, it's Alexi B, Valde, Mantu. Like, unless it's like exactly the perfect players. Yeah. But then on the other side of the equation, I mean, one of the things we've talked about a lot, I was amazed by that Toby on the Flashpoint Q&A describes Xantares as a really good clutch round player, because I'd see it completely opposite. For me, his skills mean he should be the best clutch round player, but I thought he was actually misplaying a lot of those scenarios. So I'm actually really interested in this series just to see who ends up in the 2v2s and the 1v1s, because I saw also this team lose a lot of 1v1s earlier times in the tournament. Like, they've had some pretty ropey moments. So I think neither team's coming in with incredible confidence, feeling indestructible. So like I say, it's going to very much be like the mind war once we get into the maps for me.
Yeah, what we're going to probably see a lot from the Big side on the T side is they like to initiate with these just early skirmishes, either at the top of Banana or at the top of Bracket, and then they peel off a lot, and they like to just wait it out, see if OG make a mistake, and then they try to just either get a pick because OG will make a mistake, or they will try to just do an exec onto either of the bomb sites. And I think that OG now know that if they just hold nades in these kind of situations, they can just wait for Big, because Big rarely want to just go for a full-on contact play in. So I'm looking to see if OG, if NBK, if Alexi B, they save that extra smoke in the late round, because I think it might make the difference on a hugely important one.
Well, keep your eyes on the utility. Both of our analysts did a very good job of predicting that map veto. Now we're going to see if they can predict the game correctly. Our current Pinnacle point leaderboards are as follows. And yikes. So, Maui, you're second place now. Bardolph gained like 2,000 points from that 750 on MIBR.
He's just Thanos at this point in time, isn't it? So unless someone can endgame this motherfucker, it's just too late, isn't it? He's just taking over this shit.
Yeah, it's pretty tragic. I will say the middle of the pack still competitive, but a lot of us taking the big hit there as a result of the Mad Lions
I'm hoping a lot of
predictions.
people taking big here, though, so this is my chance to get back in the game.
We'll find out. What were our odds from last night? That'll be the question, because they were better than our odds that I saw earlier today.
There
Yeah,
we go.
2.2 to 1.68. Now, Big is going to be the favorite, but still some good return on OG, at least for us who were placing our predictions at that time. And to lead off our predictions is our big winner from the last game. It'll be James Bardolph.
Well, there's nothing strange at the top of the leaderboard. That's all I'm saying. I'm where I should be. That's all the
In
gloating I'll do.
first or last place only.
I would say I was confident. I was confident with MIBR, but I was a bit scared when I saw the Mirage veto. But it turned out pretty well. That was quite surprising. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But that one, I thought like both teams can get stuck. I didn't think that Mad Lions could get MIBR stuck the way Fnatic did. So I thought they would have the worst end of it from what I've seen from them in the past. So that was why I went with MIBR for that one.
Well, you do seem prescient. Hawka, what is your prediction here as we head into this? You're on OG, bunch of OGs actually. Me too. I'm on OG also.
I just looking at this veto, I think Dust 2 and Mirage are so close in my head. Those are toss-ups. And then I think Inferno should be pretty solidly in favor of OG. So that's literally my reason. Like, I could see it going to Big for sure. I think it's very close maps. OG could have one of those days where they just screw up. We've seen it before, but I've got to give the favor to OG, especially with those odds.
All right, so coming back, Thorin with the 750. Could be the big winner today. That'd be a big jump. Everyone else so far, more bigs. Christine at 500.
There we go, a couple more victims.
Yeah, and there's a 500 on
he
big.
would be
But
on the top half
overall,
of the table,
most
no?
people going for the underdog at
close.
OG.
I think Duncan could like hop half the leaderboard if he
Oh,
wanted to.
absolutely. It is still very close.
I think Maui could also catch me towards the top. Like, it's not over just yet. There's a lot of play left.
I think I could, actually, because you would lose 250, I would gain about 1,000, and I think that would put me pretty neck and neck with you, if not ahead of you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm a little surprised.
There's a lot going on in this one game. I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You have to
format's
understand,
worked out
I'm
well.
going to ride OG the whole way through, and if they don't make it, I'm just going to blame NBK. Who am I? I tell them from last year.
It's a win-win for you.
I suppose if that's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it.
It is in a way.
Yeah,
All
Twitter
right.
banter
Material.
impressions. Yeah, exactly. You're always fishing for that.
All right, guys. It is time to get into Inferno, though. I know we're all very excited to start this series, so it will be Big versus OG, courtesy of Bardolph and Haka.
Thank you very much, Monty. I know that both of us are looking forward to this series, especially with the maps that have been selected. I think in terms of commentators, they're all exciting maps. We've got nice open maps as well, so lots of explosiveness to come. Starting with Inferno, it's only going to get bigger if we go, regardless of if we go to 2 or 3 maps, really. So I think it's great. I think we've had a lot of good stylistic matchups as well. I think these teams match up well. Obviously, I think it's fair to say that Big are a stronger team of the 2, but I think we're in for a good game regardless.
I think so, James. I just hope we don't have to start fighting because we picked opposite teams. Especially because that probably wouldn't end well for me, if we're being honest.
Well, I mean, there's no fighting. I'm too far ahead. You can't even see me, really. I'm John Cena at this point, so
okay, now.
no problems there.
Wowee. Yeah, I think as well, the desk kind of pointed out just how often these teams have played each other recently. Like, I literally went back and watched a few of the Dust 2 games a few months ago because there were constant adaptations going on. Big would start getting aggressive on one side of the map in one game, and then OG would react and they'd start stacking that position in the next game. You're going to get all sorts of those mind games coming through when teams play each other this frequently. They're really going to get a good idea of what their opponents want to do, and that can cause all sorts of weird rounds and all sorts of weird setups. So I think just in that sense as well, seeing those mind games play out is always going to be fun.
Giant box on the sofa there. Well, everyone's in good spirits for now, but the great thing is we can watch some of these smiles fade away as these rounds continue.
God, you're so mean, James.
We saw some rounds won in brutal fashion, as we saw in the MIBR interview, the post-game interview, talking about losing 5 versus 2s to a C7, a 5-7, and so on and so forth. It was a stressful day of Counter-Strike yesterday. We'll see if it continues in this second game, the evening game here at Flashpoint 2. Big and OG just waiting for the countdown to begin. Let us know if you've got anything riding on this. If you have a favoured team, send a tweet in to Flashpoint or otherwise. You can tweet Hawker and I as well. Or also let us know what you think of the new operation. I've completed all my missions for the week
All of
already.
them?
Absolutely.
Oh, look at you go.
Absolutely.
Well, here we go. Inferno will be the first map of this series. OG's favorite map, I would say. They love playing this one. They love picking it. And they're going to start on that T side with a couple of sets of utility. Alexi B and Valda picking up the nades. As for Big, they've got Tizian with the kit, and they've got 3 players towards B ready for a fight.
Issa jumping to try and avoid the headshot. NBK will deliver one for the opening frag of this series. Kaito, as Big call him, will be the first one to die, but we got trades all over the shop. However, OG have a chance to take the B bomb site. Searson is in CT, and with the final kills towards the A bomb site of late, seems that's where they'll be headed. Valde up long already, walking while they'll run on short. Don't think we'll hit this, Searson. Big pop from Valde with a crouch peek, and OG take the pistol.
Good start for OG. I always point out whenever we get OG playing the maps that the players play well on, because I think for them, they are one of the teams that have the most defined maps where certain players really play well. And Inferno is oftentimes the playground of Valda, and he's already got 2 kills there on the pistol round. Valda's going to be playing with Alexi B a lot on this map, and I'd watch how those two work together. Alexi B sets up Valda really nicely. I think Valda just has a good understanding for this map in general. It's a map where the fundamentals are really going to get you a long way, and I think that's one of Valda's biggest strengths. So I'm definitely watching him on this one. And in this round, we're watching Searson with the Scout, because we know how good he can be with this weapon. He's missed his first chance, though.
Well then, a minute 25. That smoke lined up is for Mini Pit in mid. Minute 25, and there were 2 smokes for Big ones being deployed, and NBK flying out of the apartments will create enough space for Mantu to trade. You can see Issa in the pit now with a Mac-10, not the greatest of range for him. Searson boosted with the Scout looking for something. That jump throw is to re-smoke this one. Alexi B found in the apartments. Now things could get dangerous for OG. We still have a flank coming in from Tabson. 3-on-3. I imagine Big will be invited to go for this one. They've got good positions already. Valde being very careful not to give up the high ground here towards the apartment, but as you can see, he's holding down 2 jobs. Moving forward now. We'll see where he holds his crosshair as Tabson is on the way. No Kevlar for Tabson. The crab walk won't be enough. And that may be the the last straw here for Big. Maybe to save what they have. Searson with that scout. Done some nice work in this round. He will look to maybe do a little more as OG make it to 2.
I like the early pace from OG. Really trying to set the pace early, make Big be ready for some of these faster plays. Even though they trade evenly onto the bomb site there, I think that's okay for OG because they were so fast at getting towards the site that they had a couple of nades left. So they smoke off long as this round plays out. Then they had a second smoke for long, which just slowed Big down way too much. It made that retake not really doable. They even had a Molotov ready in their back pockets in case they needed it. But Big aren't too bothered about losing that round either, because they got to save a couple of guns, they got to do a bit of damage, and if they can continue to do damage here, James, OG's money is really not established right now.
No, it really isn't. Some HEs fly down Banana, but they won't make much of a significant connection at least. Valde swinging with the MAC-10. No helmets for this MAC-10 to deal with, so it will be very dangerous. Very fun to swing on these rounds with the MAC-10. Well, OG have taken their initial map control. You can see them backing off on Banana, perhaps in part to avoid any pop flash plays and so on. Valde is expendable with the MAC-10. Suggesting an execute towards the bomb site, trying to invite utility, but there's none left for Big.
The AK of Issa, thinking of going into top mid. Normally you'd expect the MAC-10s to be leading the way in this round to get the extra money. It's MBK who's got the early frag though. Alexi B low on health in the back lines, and MBK won't be able to spot Xantares just yet. 45 seconds left on the clock. Nades are running low here for OG. If they walk into this stack, they could have some concerns, but as they go back to B with the bomb, they should be good to go. MBK almost caught out, but good headshots, good spray from MBK, and Keto is the only man left.
Trying to play for time. There is a lot of time, all things considered. Will they fully check the site first? It looks like they will. Trying to dance around. He's got a chance now. The 1v1 for a few seconds by New Box, but Issa will be able to hold on to things. There was time for a clean-up with about 20 seconds on the clock. 2 players around the corner. Big did what they could, but now here's the real focus. Round number 4, the first buy round for both squads. Searson on the AWP. Definitely a sniper to watch demos of Searson. Even though he's had a lot of attention on him of late with the success of Big, still criminally underrated.
Absolutely. He's got the 4th highest opening kills per round in this tournament on the T side even. So that shows the kind of aggressive play that Searson is capable of. He always makes sure he's involved in the rounds with the AWP. And you can see on the minimap, he's already playing towards the apartments in this round, where he might get a chance for an early fight. OG are taking control here, but the AWP of Searson, just goes off the angle.
See if he looks to creep up short at some point. First is the focus from OG. Looking to take top mid. Nice spray from Tizian through the smoke. Oh, he's doing some more damage as well. Mantu's got to be really careful. Mantu's so close to the smoke as well. He doesn't respond with spray because his traces would be so easy to punish. So he just has to sit there and take it. 4-on-4 though, and they have some possession towards top mid. However, Searson is on short of the AWP, and often those AWPs on short will creep up. Very much favor those peeks to the snipers up short. So things can get dangerous for OG here. There it is. Tizian swinging out at the same time. NBK caught sleeping, which leaves 2, including the MAC-10 of Valde.
They're going to try and go fast in towards this B site. They've already got that smoke up for CT, but they still have to clear some of these close corners on Banana. There is a chance to isolate this fight, though. Keto needs to get a kill here, or just needs to survive. And as he takes some damage, he tries to fall back, but Valde swings on him. And now OG have given themselves a chance in this round. They'll get the bomb down on this B site. Valde potentially can upgrade his weapon, and the 2 OG players are going to stick together to try and play this round out.
Searson has a lot of utility to allow Big to try and swing. Molotov to deploy as well. Valde blind by the coffins. Could even smoke off the coffins, although that would make it hard with a spray and such. But there goes the smoke. Searson. Maybe a little tag onto Valde, who makes his way around the corner. I think it's going to be a spray fest. Human shield. Now, is that the diffuser? That is the question. It's a 10-second diffuse as well. Has to go for the reload. The coffins are covering. Still alive at the moment. 1 second left for Tizian. Hasn't been touched just yet. So close. But there we go. Big steal it with the smoke grenade.
Wow, that is wild. I know that the first spray from Valde gets a kill, but you'd have thought they know that that bomb was planted more on the left side there, on the OG side of things. It was those two players that planted the bomb between them. Here are some of those early kills from Big on the A side of the map. Super solid work from Tizian in this round. MBK just seemed to get caught off guard in that fight. I think the timing was slightly off for him. But Big somehow steal away the round. A bit of a surprise there, but they'll take it. First round on the board for Big, and now we get a full buy for both teams. Mantu has picked up that AWP on the T side, but you can already see Searson trying to get involved. Doesn't spot anyone out on his mid-aggression, though. He will fall back to safety.
Pop Flash playing the swing for Big. Top banana with the smoke up by the half wall. Can see the activity of Big on the radar. A lot going on around the A-bomb site. Perfectly timed HE grenade. There's a Pop Flash and a swing from Valde. Big have more to show from it in terms of damage, but OG have got the map control for now. Lots of information plays here from Big. And I think the advantage of Searson going for the apartments play early in the round prior was that he could make his way to short. Again, more difficult to make your way up long late round once you've conceded top mid, as you will see as the game progresses, as far as the sniper is concerned. Fourth man now for Big, making his way towards A, in Tabson, inside the arch. You can see Big playing very defensively for the most part, but Tizian's creeping around short to see what's going on. Another Pop Flash, doesn't extend all the way to mid, however, but he should hear some footsteps.
Oh, so many players at top mid. This is the man to get the kill. No nades left on the CT side on these players on the A side of the map. It's all down to the crossfires, and Searson and Xantares all chiming in with kills. Tizian gets one now. They're all trapped on short, and OG get nowhere near that bomb site. Really good work from those big players there, but OG will be a little bit frustrated they couldn't get closer to the site there. They were running low on nades as they hit the site itself, but I think it was mainly the fact that they only seemed to have one flashbang, I believe, as they went for this push. That was the real problem, because you can see, from Big's perspective, it's just holding angles that are pretty favorable for them.
Yeah, Big. I feel like Big chose where they were going to stage that fight. We saw the information plays, and again, even the short one, I think, was just a boiler peak, not really overextending to a potential double peak for the T's, depending on where they were. Pistol time for OG, and there will be an airstrike up Banana, and the trades as well. But have a look at that from Kaito. Deleting multiple players top Banana, limiting the damage, denying the bomb plant for OG. They can still buy anyway, but more money is always good. But yeah, Big chose where to have that fight. They were ready with the crossfires and so on, repositioning after the first kill, supporting each other, covering the angles and such. Very good work indeed. So again, always called him Keto, but in all the interviews, Tabson says Kaito, so I guess I'll go with Kaito from now on.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way I'm going to get that into my head, but I'll try. I will try.
You do you.
Damn, Searson landing a leg shot early. MBK down to 16 health. Aggression from Tizian as well. The confidence Big are showing right now is brilliant, but Mantu's ready for that fight. Tizian caught by a couple of angles there, and now Big have to fight from a man down. The upside is they have full banana control here on the Big side, so they can stack towards this A site, and they can be very ready.
OG really have to think about who goes first now. Looking at the health on Mantu and NBK, this numbers advantage could turn around very quickly indeed. You can see Big are looking to stage a crossfire on the site once again. Kaito making his way in. A rare miss from Searson. May have a chance, though, to delay if he can. Stuck with the grenades. Oh, my God, the flurry of kills. A penetration frag and a HG at the same time. The combo from Searson leaves Mantu alone at 30 HP. Looking for the flanker, but Tabson just hiding for the most part. Entertaining. Mantu is still in control of the bomb. There's just under a minute on the clock. Tabson will expect this angle be deleted eventually. Mantu's just got to hope for the best and run all the way there. I think Kaito will probably take an angle first as he makes his way past the well in CT. Only 2 bullets required. 27 in 1 won't be enough. Unless he shoots them in the head, then maybe just 1 will be sufficient. Bomb plant denied. 3 survive for Big. 2 AKs in hand as well. That's their 4th round in a row.
I wouldn't mind a pause here for OG. I think they are starting to get somewhat flustered. Tabson there, very expressive with his hand movements to his teammates. This was Searson with the nade kill, and wow, the no-scope through the box. He threw the Molotov just before that. They were pretty ready for that push towards the A side of the map. And we do see a pause called by OG ahead of this next round. I'm glad we see this, because sometimes it feels like OG can kind of lose control of the game if they lose a few rounds. And I think the problem for OG in a couple of these rounds now has been some of that map control, especially towards Banana in that last round. Tabson was able to push all the way down Banana without much resistance. It feels like Big are always one step ahead. They always know roughly the timing of the push and where the push is coming in. So for OG, maybe the response could be a faster play. We did see that get shut down on Banana previously, though. Or maybe they just need to force Big back a little bit more at the start of these rounds.
Nice to see Man2 drinking water. Make sure you drink water at home.
James's top tip of the day, everybody.
Absolutely.
Drink water.
There's an account on Twitter. I forget what it's called.
It's like stay hydrated.
It won't be hard to find, but it basically says drink water, you bitch, every
yeah, I follow that.
every day. And it's a necessary reminder, especially for gamers. So drink some goddamn water. God damn it. OG on pistols once again. A timely incendiary from Searson in the apartments once more. Not sure if he wants to creep up short against a half buy, if you will. He says LDLC covered CZ75. I still remember the days of NBK, LDLC, Milan Games Week. Missing child, the constant calls of attenzione on the loudspeakers. Looking to split the A bomb site now. There were 4, now there are 3. Although Heath is backing away. It's a wrap of the B bomb site, in fact. They've taken 1 out in CT spawn, but Searson is also here. Last seen on A, this could be a nasty surprise if he can land a shot. Indeed, he will. Not take the bait from the elbow, but land it on the chest instead. Alexi B is Alexi D now because he's dead, leaving Issa and Valde. There we go. An easy one for Searson. Well, they did some good damage. $12,000 of damage, more or less. Kaito and Tabson dead. So, not too shabby.
Even though that round doesn't look that great for OG, considering, you know, Big survived with 3 players, I think that's more like it from the OG side, just making Big a bit more uncomfortable. You can see the players in CT spawn there getting caught off guard. I think Searson holding that really close range angle could have been in a lot of trouble. If the OG players pushed up on that closer angle, he would have been in a really hard spot there. So they're putting Big in some more uncomfortable positions. That's a positive sign. And now we've got the guns back out for OG. This time just focusing on the full AKs, not going for an AWP. So far, Searson has definitely been getting the better of those 2 players. He has been really good once he's got that AWP into his hands. 9 kills on the board for him already. But OG in this round are looking for some banana control, and it looks like they should be able to get it freely.
Have a look at the radar. Tabson's out of grenades. And he'll make his way towards A. Searson with a smoke incendiary, and of course the AWP will post up on the B bomb site instead. Very important that you have those late grenades on the B bomb site, which I assume is why that rotation comes through. A flashbang could be an information plate. Even hearing some spray would be enough. Footsteps will certainly be heard. And I think there's going to be a boost on the back of the site here for New Box. It can be hard to identify, especially with the silenced M4. Now, there's a smoke up on long at present, and we've got MBK and Boiler. Big have got 2 men on long. Wondering what the situation is. Top mid. And I think Xantares has found that out, which stops Tabson from rotating. It's going to be a tough one to defend, I think. They only have 1 flash and a molly left, and that's all on Searson on B. So Big are going to have to try and avoid the few flashes OG have and try and frag out here. 20 seconds, though. Could go either way.
Xantares missing his first chance. Tizian quickly traded, as is Tabson. Valda with a really good shot, and now Xantares has to spray. He almost gets a 3K, though. He gets 2 on the bomb site, and he keeps it close. It's into a 2v2. Big have to rotate over, though, and these A-sided retakes are never easy. There are a lot of angles you have to be able to clear here. They do have a kit on Keto. Searson could pick one up as well, but they don't have any nades to flush out these positions. Just now, though, Keto picks up a molly. That goes into Pit. Is that going to force Valder into the open, though? It doesn't look like it. He's able to survive, and that is buying even more time for the T's to just hold here. Valder gets the timing right from Pit, and I think Searson is not going to be winning this one. Valder picks up a triple kill, and OG finally get themselves back on track, breaking that 5-round win streak of Big.
So if you saw where Valde was in the pit position, obviously there are a number of different places he could be from Searson's point of view, but I just want to say that that is wallbangable. Ironically, it was many moons ago I saw NBK with an AWP take a completely random shot while saving and shoot somebody through the wall where Valde is standing most of the time there. So it can be worth a pot shot if they're not giving you anything in that situation. You never know. It would definitely be requiring a stroke of luck, but it is possible. Maybe not through every part of it, but you can do your own investigations. Big will start with 3 towards Banana. Searson has the AWP again, but one must be careful because he has no Kevlar. Will often be mollies, but also sometimes HEs such as that one over the wall to stop a split and take that AWP angle away, which is why he's a little further back. Again, with no Kevlar. The grenade can do 101 damage in 2 hits. Keto, trying to get more aggressive, will fail, but he's got information for Searson who can reset his position. And at the same time, we've got OG creeping up top mid with 2. Oh, they're going to boost behind the smoke, but NBK's already looking for it.
Wow, MP7 gets the headshot. Tizian taken out of the round. No helmet, I assume, which is why that MP7 is faster on the frag. And now as OG sneak up long, they have got themselves in a really good spot here. You can see that Big are just getting cut off from different angles. Xantares locking down the bomb site, though. He's already got 2 kills. One more would be lovely, but he's not going to get it. And Tabson is removed from the round. He's just now rotating over from B, but it looks like another successful A play from OG, unless Tabson has something to say about it.
Such an awkward angle to be retaking from. Even if somebody shows their head behind that middle box, it is extremely awkward indeed. And Tabson will take the AWP away. With just the AWP, CT Inferno, a round can certainly be won. And I feel like Big are one of the few teams who have the attention to detail to make it more possible than others. But OG are back to winning ways now, looking to tie the score. We'll see if they can get a reasonable score. Well, I mean, 5 rounds is not a disaster on the T side, and there's plenty more to fight for. So while it's been a struggle, winning the pistol has been very key for OG. Again, they got 3 rounds in a row. And then it was a flurry for Big. OG only just now tasting success again. Apart from that AWP, well, Xantares has got over $4,000, but apart from that, they're on eco Big. So OG have finally broken them, and they've given themselves a chance to pull away as we head into round 11.
That's what OG needed. It's been a very slow style of play from OG. I think against Big, I'm not sure that's the best approach. I don't think Big are really going to make too many mistakes. They're not really going to feel pressured when these late round scenarios come in, but it's worked for OG in the last couple of rounds, more because they are throwing just a slight bit of misdirection in there. They are taking some map control elsewhere and then coming back to a different bomb site. That's just doing enough to force Big away from their standard plays. Now, Alexi B is 1 for 9 right now. He is oftentimes the space creator for this team. He's the man running in first. You can see that here with the map 10, but he's not got a single kill. So close. The nade should do it, though. He will get an assist on that one, and this B site will be bulldozed.
Yep, time for Searson to save. He needs to decide on a position which is a little unexpected. Not the pit, of course. So he'll have to hold on to this one for a while. Well then, OG taking the lead now. Again, once you break the money of the CT side, then great things can happen. But indeed, it's hard to fluster Big because they have so much depth. They have so much protocol. The DNA from God B is definitely in this team. I think that was great for players like Smuya to go through that system as well, just to give them some structure. Young, hungry player under the wing of God B will definitely go from a boy to a man on the other side, or far more in that direction. So for sure, big structure remains. And it will be hard for them to get them to make mistakes. But here we are. Money's not great for Big. About $4,000 on most players. Decisions have to be made. Do they pull out some SMGs or some FAMASs and head for more utility? Seems that will be the case. Pretty reasonable by all things considered, but it may invite more aggression with this AWP, as some players are lacking in grenades and such.
I think Tabson was having a thought last second as to whether he wanted to buy a kit or an HE grenade. He goes for the HE grenade instead. And Alexi B alongside Valdo with 2 kills down mid. That is big, getting picked apart at the start of this round. Xantares has been good on this A side of the map, but not good enough to hold that round. And that's it, round done.
Round 1 due to lack of helmets, I would say. The aim punch from that MAC-10 was absolutely devastating. The AWP could not follow up afterwards. Looks like Big are heading towards a wipeout in this round as only Tabson remains. Money's fair for some of the OG players, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some semblance of a hunt here. I think at this point, OG should be targeting 10 rounds now. Again, it was a struggle after the first 3 rounds, winning the pistol and such, but it's dramatically different as we head towards the last rounds of the first half. Indeed, Alexi B, 2 for 10 at the moment, but we can see his role in some of these just to create space for his team. And sometimes that means dying. It means wide swinging. Not about self-preservation, but about the whole.
I was just taking a look at the map stats overall for Inferno in this tournament. It's been played 13 times in total, and it is ever so slightly T-sided in this tournament, 51% to 49%. So it's basically even, I think it's fair to say. And that means that for OG, yeah, having 7 rounds already and having Big behind in the economy game, you can go on for a really solid half here.
The smiles are back for OG. Definitely missing during that 5-round flurry from Big. That seems like it was in a different dimension now with the current state of Big's economy. Xantares with a 5-7 and Kevlar. Not much for him to do. So be a victim to a long spray from NBK, but a successful one. 8 rounds on the board now for OG. So we had 5 from Big, now we've had 5 from OG. See if Big can break the pattern as they're back to a full buy. The M4s once again, a silence M4 from Tabson. Maybe he'll be looking to pick up that new M4 from the... whatever the hell that bloody thing's called.
One of the
Control
collection,
or the Ancient Collection, whichever one it is.
Who knows, man.
I think it's the Ancient one.
I was wondering if we were going to see any of the players today with any of those skins, but they've probably been focusing on actually playing the game more than anything. At least for the time being. Might see a faster round from OG here. They've been very slow, very methodical so far, but MBK's had enough of that. He's going to get the initial entry. Unfortunately, though, they can't get any follow-up frags. Xantares gets a kill while blind, playing on the bomb site now, seeing if he can find more frags, and he can. Spray to the body, successful. Valda lurking at long, though, could be the difference maker. Searson's trapped in the open, nowhere to go, but he can fight his way out of it. Valda, though, going through the smoke. What a risk, but it's a one that pays off for him, and he's turned it into a 1v1. He may not have the bomb in his hands, but Quito is the one who probably feels under pressure here. He's going to go for the peek, look for the information, but Valda's outbraining him. Valda's got him dead to rights. 17 for 6 now for Valda. He is having a masterful performance here on Inferno.
He is so good in the clutch. It's just great when he's the last man standing because he's the best man for the job as he has shown time and time again. An exceptional player is Valde.
I mean, the fact that he knows Searson is scoped in with the AWP there and walks through that left side of the smoke, that is so sick. Just about enough of a gap in that vision of the scoped in player to get that kill.
Yeah, his spatial awareness has got to be top 5%. Well then, Big have managed to muster another buy in this last round of the first half. 2 M4A4, well, 2 rifles, 2 M4s, stop there. Double MP9, which has a lot of utility if you've got some flashbangs. They've only got 2 left, and Searson's on a scout. Never count him out, no pun and no rhyme intended, I don't know.
Nothing was intended. That's
Nothing was intended,
Jens wants you to know.
I could have just left it there. But anyway, minute 10 for OG. Chain flashes on Banana. note how it's not just the one flash. The first flash is a bait. It's a very obvious flash. You can hear the collisions. They look away from that one and then turn into the next one. That's what chain flashes are, if you are unfamiliar. Mini pits. No, that's just a top mid smoke. Okay. From those barrels in mid, you can do a jump throw to smoke off mini pits as well. But they do not have said real estate up top mid. And there's Valde again to cause more problems for Big. Really bringing down the life expectancy of the CT team.
You can see why this is Valde's best map. He just knows every angle. I think, again, it's a map where his fundamentals shine through so well. You can really just methodically clear everything, and he's been doing that very successfully in this game. Searson, though, with the scout, not quite as successful. The nade is good. It's a team kill from Mantu. I think the nade probably would have killed MBK either way, but Mantu's still going to go for more, and he's not going to win that fight. Tizian striking back. Valde goes down on B, but the bomb's going to A.
Xantares with the off angle to surely clutch this round out. 4 seconds on the clock now. Isar cannot win. Kito's way too far away. So Big will get a desperate, at this point, final round at the end of this first half to make it 6-9 of OG. A 3-round lead. We'll see how it continues after the break.
OG currently up 9-6 on their map pick after their T side. They head into the CT side of things with a good lead under their belt. And into this pistol round, Big don't want anything to do with upgraded pistols. They don't want any nades. They just want Kevlar, James. And I would love to see them just rush together. If that's what they're going to be buying, that's got to be the call.
You can see Pinnacle don't have a lot of faith in Big to turn this one around. The way their performance soured in that first half, but it's a completely different world once they change sides, or it could be, but maybe OG will stop it from being so. NBK looking to find some heads to pop in the apartments. Nothing doing just yet. Xantares focusing on Boiler, but NBK starting to... I did wonder if he was going to go for a push. We can see Xantares crab walking His arm has been spotted. NBK will not re-peek. Maybe with that information, Big read that there are more players towards B bomb site because they instantly turn around again, although perhaps they were just making some footsteps towards B. Either way, it is a 5 versus 2 towards this A bomb site. Issa gets headshot, but it's a Glock, so he's still alive. Xantares now showing some presence, running distraction, while NBK still manages to get the first kill, but only the first one, traded by Xantares.
Oh, Issa just can't find the headshot he needed. That's a flurry of frags for Big onto the A bomb site. Even though Xantares missed his chance to get that instant kill early onto MBK, it doesn't really matter. Those two players for OG were always going to struggle to hold that A site, and there's not even a kit on the OG side of things. So despite Valda getting that one, they need a hell of a lot more where that came from, and they need these kills quickly. Yeah, this is just not doable.
Well, you can see he tried to bait a peek by suggesting he was running away. He wants him to give him something, but they won't. And at this point, again, save the Kevlar. You get a kill, $300. Your Kevlar, $650, untouched. Mantu's going to take some damage from the bomb, which will make his helmet more expensive. Let's see. Oh, he escapes untouched. Well, there we go. That's the Chinese abacus equation. At some point, what you're carrying is worth more than the frags in the pistol round. Want to accept that the round is lost. Well, both teams have won their respective T-side pistols. Question is, can Big avoid a force buy loss? As we see the force buy come through now from OG. Valde managing to squeeze out an MP9 as well as an NBK.
Just going to be MBK and Issa playing on the A site at the start of this round as well. Similar setup to the previous round for OG. It is normally Alexi B and Valda who will be committed to that B bomb site, and then Mantu can sometimes switch it up with that AWP once that comes into his hands, but they only have pistols for the time being, alongside an MP9 for Valda. Not that much information for OG. They're just now starting to move down Banana. It may be a little too late though. Big are already getting into position, already starting to posture themselves towards this A bomb site. OG are actually rotating over right now, but I think Big aren't committing either way. They've still got over a minute left on the clock, so if they wanted to go back, that could still be an option for them. But OG continue to rotate players over to this A side of the map.
More grenades being deployed. Sisson swinging with the MAC-10. Alone now on long as the focus is apartments. Pop flash and out they come.
What?
E-side deleted in a very awkward fashion. So far so good for Big on this anti-force buy. Not much for Alexi B to pick up. Riddled with bullets. Flying Sisson in spawn to get some highlight frags. And indeed they have survived the force buy round from OG. So all seems to be heading towards equal. More or less a mirror from the first half.
Literally landed on his head for a split second before shooting him. That box is not going to give you enough cover when there's 3 people shooting at you. Unfortunately, Alexi goes down. This is where, for OG, their economy on the CT side is going to be very important. We've seen games from them previously where they've struggled to control that money, where that's been a real issue for them. Hopefully in this game they can get that figured out. They have decided to fully save here to try and make that happen, and that means that Searson will be hoping to go on a tear with that MAC-10, running into the back lines. Oh, he should get this last kill. Indeed he will. No one falling for Big.
My God. I don't expect this buy to change from Big. What they have at the moment. Searson just shy of $9,000 at the beginning. Ooh. Well, it's Searson, so I don't mind this. I don't mind this. A captivating sniper in Counter-Strike. 9-9. Mantu will have the other sniper for this round. Now the real game begins in this second half. All equal, but not for long. 3 USPs on the hands of the T side.
Oh, look at this. We could see a big fight here. Or we could just not.
They were ready. They came with mans, as we would say in London.
It kind of sucks for MBK and Issa, who came to B to help to begin with, and they just took nade damage down to half health, and now they have to go back to the A site and just hold while being lower on health than they were.
Look at all those Molotovs on Banana. 3, 2... That's the 4th one. That's the 4th molly. 2 from either side. And OG will fall back eventually. Now, I don't know that anyone has seen anybody else just yet, but look at the exchange of utility that we've seen at the beginning of this round. A minute on the clock. Close, but not quite. In terms of that blind AWP shot, they often do land. So Torres now just keeping the CTs honest on A, showing some presence. 50 seconds on the clock as he looks to line up some grenades. OG with a smoke of long, Big with a smoke of short. But again, Mantu's on that short position, but this lurk smoke in the balcony may stop him from creeping up.
Tizian loves doing this on a couple of maps. You'll see him do it on the B side of Mirage as well, just trying to add pressure to the bomb site. How is he just teleported behind Mantu? I'm not really sure, but the B-sided play is what we need to look at because Valda's here, and Valda is not stopping. He's got 3 kills on the hold, and in a matter of seconds, OG turned the round in their favor. Just Xantares left, and he doesn't know that Alexi B is a little snake in the grass at the back of the bomb site. What a solid hold from OG, and what a game Valda's having.
How is Valde so good? It's just a general question. I'm sure there are videos on him. I will be looking at all of them because the man is just a beast.
He really does remind me of just like Mr. Fundamental, you know, just so reliable all the time, but he plays like a star somehow.
I think it's kind of like on a Zipex tier, if you will, because you know you look at the. Because he just does that all the time.
Yeah.
He does it all the time, and it kind of goes under the radar to some degree. Like you won't appreciate it as much as you should. It's just bread and butter. It's reliable. It's consistent. Anyway, OG will take the lead, breaking the tie to make it to 10.
One of the things that's rough about the economy right now is just that I think OG survived with 4 players in that last round, right? But even then, like, they don't get to build up much money. They've really got to make sure they win this round too.
They really do. Inferno, the first of this series. Dust 2 and Mirage to follow. Mirage if required, of course. You can see Inferno the pick of OG under their name, and Dust 2 the pick of Big. Was that tagging Herd by Big, I wonder? 48 seconds, a lot of pressure on this A bomb site. Only 3 OG players. NBK trying to create some space for himself. Perhaps he'll have a one-way around this. Tabson down to 11 HP. Still no rotation from Big just yet. There's the kill they were looking for. NBK lurking around that smoke. Deleted. Issa on the high ground this time. No one jumping on his head for today. Doing more than that. Dropping the bomb now. Multi-frag from Issa. Searson trying to hide in plain sight. Valde, though, again, the spatial awareness. 11 rounds for OG. Pulling away. An important round for them to win, and it's Big who look to be heading towards Eco.
Really nice round from Issa there, getting the important kills. I would say the most important kills in that round for his team. Especially considering he's one of the few sort of star players that has been a bit quieter for OG in this game. Great to see him getting involved. In terms of the scoreboard, I feel like I would be remiss to mention the fact that both in-game leaders are really having a rough time individually in terms of frags. Alexi B is currently 5 for 15. I think he ended the first half with 2 kills, and then Tabson is 6 for 17 over on the Big side. I do think for OG, though, I was looking at the stats. This is Alexi B's worst map statistically, but I just think the impact he provides for his team comes elsewhere. You see him oftentimes going in first. You see him oftentimes playing with Valda on that B site and setting up Valda really well. He's definitely part of the reason why Valda gets a lot of the spots he likes and why Valda can have such a good time. So just because those in-game leaders aren't fragging that well doesn't mean they aren't doing a lot of good things elsewhere.
The utility war begins. Boom. Incendiary thwarted. Oh my god, we got the airstrike. But OG are playing far back, so they won't be too harmed. 2 damage to Mantu. 498 HP OG. Oh, we got chunks on the way, and we got penetration shots as well. Mantu going back to the well, outstaying his welcome, I think it's fair to say. Teammates are a little behind him. A smoke ahead of the AWP, of course. You can see it trying to be collected by Searson. He will be denied.
Good work from Alexi, doing what he had to do, getting a kill, putting the smoke down, and then trading off of Valda, who finally missed a couple of shots, rarely for him. This will now be the buy back for Big. It won't be a perfect one, though. They've got 2 MAC-10s in the mix. And Big are definitely a team who have rounds that are almost planned for having MAC-10s in them. You'll see it on Mirage sometimes, where they will purposely buy a MAC-10 for some of these faster aggressions on their plays. So I assume Big will have something ready specifically for having these MAC-10s. We'll have to see what it is, though.
Alexi B will join the fray towards the A bomb site here for OG. They seem to have intentions. Oh, there's a big play though. Might catch him off guard. Maybe it won't though, because Issa ever dependable with NBK behind him. We'll hold on to things. The bomb's been lost for Big. They're committed to this play now. Trying to create some space. Kito or Kaito, whichever you prefer, will go to his doom, and so will everybody else. OG just cleaning up now on the CT side. Looking reasonably comfortable. 4 in a row for them as they're 3 away from the first map.
That looked like a hard read from Alexi B there. He was the only player, or I think it was Mantu who's the only player on the B side of the map with the AWP. And then OG used, I think it was 2 mollies at top mid at the start of the round, which was probably miscommunication. But then Valda, after that, used another molly at top mid so that they didn't have to worry about that mid position entirely. They knew they could fully focus on the apartments. And it just seemed like OG were very ready for a fast play towards A in that round. With those 4 players stacked there, just with the way they approached that round with all their players, it looked like they knew exactly what was coming. And now it is looking a little desperate for Big. They've got the pistols out in this round, but they are falling behind slowly but surely. And look at the aggression. Alexi B flashed through the smoke against the pistols. Not a play he needed to make, but one that's going to work for it.
Confidence plays are the best plays. Dominate your opponent, make them fear what you might do, and it may limit what they choose to do. Centaurus has some position, but it will be considered compromised anyway by OG as they have no eyes on long. NBK will see 2 targets now. The bomb not spotted just yet, but Issa will take care of that. Tizian stuck trying to make his way to the site, able to do so. There'll be a bomb plant at the very least. 5 versus 2 though. Do not expect them to last much longer. Question of damage perhaps at this point. Santares with that Tech 9 will take out 2. Traded eventually. Do they know where Tizian is, I wonder? Looks like they might do. Trying to isolate the fights. Well, they'll get 3 of them. So they've made it expensive, and if they are to mount a comeback Big, then that may pay off for them. But for now, it is 14 rounds for OG to the 9 of Big.
Helps make sure Big even have a bit of money behind ahead of this next round, but really they're looking for round wins at this point. Xantares has been playing really well. I think on the CT side especially, he had some of their most important rounds. He's come through pretty strong on the T side also, but they need more from maybe some of the other players. Kito and Tabson both still in single digits. OG starting with a 3-sided B stack. Looks like Mantu is setting up a smoke to contest for Banana early. This is one of the rare rounds where we don't see any early nades on Banana.
Got to mix it up.
Yeah. Finally a molly used by OG as well as a smoke, but Big are having a look at top mid.
OG have often favoured for reasonably early, maybe not from the start, but reasonably early towards this A bomb site. We see it here again with essentially 3 players on long. Alexi B creeping along with Mantu. Rifle support for the AWP. Always nice to see. And indeed, it does seem that Big will once again lean towards this A bomb site. Mantu going all the way up, able to hop away before the cavalry can come in for Big. Santares is lost, and there's no one there to avenge him. Mantu's going back again, and he's found another one. And he saw Tabson turning away as well, which could suggest something. But he's hungry for information, and that'll cost him.
Now, what can Tizian get done from this position? Sneaking into short. There's also a player sneaking up through long. The rotation would be belated from OG. The B players aren't in position to rotate over, but oh, the timing for Issa is excellent. Searson is able to trade, but MBK's still on the site, and now the rotation begins. MBK will be looking to buy time. He just needs this 1 kill, and he's got it. Searson's alone. He doesn't even get anything. MBK locking down the A-bomb site. 15-9 for OG, and this CT side has come on so strong. After losing the pistol, as soon as they got into the gun rounds, they've always looked like they seem to know exactly what Big are doing. They always seem to stack the right site, and it helps that they've been landing their shots too.
Precise positioning from NBK on that A-bomb side. That was pretty impressive. I have to give that one a go myself. You can see the use of the pillar there to try and isolate a fight. That's one of the most important things as well, especially for the CT side, where one of the biggest advantages for the T side is abusing the numbers game and trade fragging, the ability to isolate a fight. And again, I spoke about spatial awareness with Valde, and we can see some there from NBK, taking a necessary level of risk to try and deliver security for his team. Showing his experience there as he's 19 for 17 now in BK. Valde 24 for 11. Top of the board at present. tabseN 7 for 21. Kaito is somewhat missing as well, 8 for 16. So Big not firing on all cylinders just yet. Their pick, of course, is to come, but that does not mean that they should concede this one.
And even from 15-9 down, you've got to believe it's not too far behind. They would like to get a grasp on that CT economy, though. OG have been able to build up money throughout this half. It's still not a perfect economy for them, but it's good enough that they've been able to continually buy. Man2 there missing that first shot. Now they're going to start to sneak by, but he's got a teammate to help him. Valde was the man on the rotate, but Tizian lands an all-important shot towards the A site. And now it's only Issa committed to the A site itself. The bomb's dropped over at Archway. We're about to get a bunch of fights, but CR.A.E wins one. Alexi wins a fight at B. Now the flank is coming through from Issa. He gets a kill of his own. It's frags all over the place, but it's Big coming back to this A bomb site.
Needs to show some presence from the high ground now. He may choose to rotate and play like a third man role, where he could be in apartments, but in fact he's in short. We'll see how it plays out. He stays in apartments. There is some high ground to be had. However, it is also a tight choke point to exit from, especially with no flashbangs. Down goes Alexi B. Down goes Issa. Now Big, it's been a drought for them of late. They're finally back on the scoreboard, but they're only 5 rounds behind. So let's not count them out just yet.
Second pause taken by OG ahead of this round. Now this one came down to just positioning for individual players, it felt like. Look at how many players get caught in the back for OG in this round. C.R.A.E got 2 kills on unsuspecting players. Tizian flanking that one player who was in the apartments. Big mainly just able to rely on their positioning to outmaneuver their opponents in that one. And for OG, they don't need to buy here if they didn't want to. Maybe if they wanted to really make sure they fully save to get the buy into the next round, they could. But realistically, their money is probably good enough to get a good enough buy together. So it looks like that will be the call they make. Valde already having a FAMAS. Man2 has the AWP in his hands. Slowly but surely, the buy will trickle on through. Now it's Big who take a timeout in reply to OG's timeout.
Timeouts on timeouts. Well, if you win the first 3 rounds, I consider them all related. I mean, they are. They're all related to the pistol round. Because normally you win a pistol round, you have an advantage most of the time versus a force buy, and then versus an eco. So those rounds are all bunched together. They're all connected. Outside of those rounds, that's the first round that Big have won in this half. But perhaps the pressure is enough to allow them to have that heightened focus to take it over the line. Problem is, they need to do that 5 more times in a row. Never too late for Kaito and tabseN to turn up. Maybe that happens now. AWP is out for OG. Alexi B with the second one. And he's been catching up. 12 kills for him now. Oh, Kaito had to be really careful about that one. That flashbang was long gone. That was a cheap frag for OG, all things considered.
Wow, a nade landed on CR.A.E, taking him down to 39 health. Issa wins a fight. He's got another kill, and all of a sudden, OG are in great shape to take this game. tabseN and CR.A.E, the 2 players remaining to try and save the day. And Valde's going to get the timing just right. Oh, it's a flash in from Issa, and it's all on CR.A.E. He's got 1 kill in behind, but he needs 3 more. And Valde, okay, careful, buddy. He's not got his gun out. CR.A.E gets a second shot. It's 2 AWPs that he's up against, and there are openings, but a flank is about to come in. There's a player in boiler. CR.A.E, is he going to get to the site? He's going to be flanked by Man2. It's 16-10 for OG after a dominant CT side.
Yeah, slow start for OG, but once they were on fire, Big were not able to put them out, and the smiles will be back as they were at the beginning of this game for OG. They take their pick of Inferno. Dust 2, though, is to come for Big, and maybe things will go in their direction. Then again, maybe they won't. More Counter-Strike after the break.
It was a solid win on Inferno for OG. Big had some life in them, but it wasn't enough in the end. Is this the Inferno you expected to see, Maui, out of OG?
Yes, actually. I think OG always fall back on this map, and there's a really good reason why. It is because Alexi B is actually one of the best IGLs on this map, hands down, flat out. His calls are so good, his reads, and his adaptations on CT side too, it has profound effects on the entire map and how Big have to play to him. It's rarely Big that's dictating how this map is playing out. It is OG throwing problem after problem at Big, and they're consistently coming out ahead because of it.
Yeah, this is an example. I mean, obviously we can hear the comms, so without giving away any information, all I'll say is this. Like, OG could have way more T rounds on some of these halves on Inferno. Like, Alexi B is just, he just knows what the other team's doing. Like, he can guess the setups. He can guess based on conditioning what they did the last few rounds. Like, the guy's read is amazing. It's just, can he harness his players? And more importantly, can he hit the shots when you go on the site? Like, if some of the big players who are on the A site just hit their shots from inside the site, you're not going to get the bomb down. You're not going to win the round. So Big were able to, like, hang on the fragging level, but I actually thought they were completely outplayed, like, meta game-wise. I mean, their T side was nothing. It was just going really slow and getting eaten up.
Yeah, it felt like the big game plan was targeting Issa and NBK at A, and they just pulled it together just enough times, as many times as they needed to. So we'll see on the scoreboard here, Balde, this guy is an absolute beast. I said it in the pregame
How many deaths?
He is probably the best rifler at this
crazy.
tournament, and I think this performance solidifies it for me. He is doing things that nobody should be able to do. There was a round on B where he was defending with Alexi B. Alexi B was supposed to be enabled because Valde is baiting for him, but Valde in that position that was so tough, he gets 3 kills. He ends the round by himself, and that that win condition, that Valde's firepower is at this level right now, is something that you cannot game plan around if you are big.
This reminds me back in the day of like the prime Fnatic when Crims used to just drop 30 bombs, again by playing like B anchor player on Inferno, the spots where like if they rush you, you can get kills, but you're supposed to always die. Like the idea you have 13 deaths there after that game is ridiculous. Like the impact is impossible.
Well, Maui, we do have that Valde clutch ready for you if you'd like to give us a guide through
Let's do it. Yeah, let's get into it. So Valde here, this was after a hectic A hit coming out from OG, and you'll see that Valde, he's absolutely money when he comes up Arch. That kill he gets on the rotator in Tabson is massive, and then look at how he reads what Surson does here. Surson looking at the gap in the smoke, and Valde, he just walks right through it, knows the distance in this position and how Surson can't actually see that right side. It's perfect play from Valde, and look at this. He plays the long con against Kido here. Kido expects he's going to get the bomb, maybe rotate towards B, and Valde, he just waits, hook, line, and sinker. Valde takes him down. That was just beautiful stuff. Masterclass performance from Valde. Him and Alexi B are the reason this team is so good at Inferno.
Notice he never used his aim to win a single fight there. He used it all times, his positioning, the map, terrain, like knowledge of where that I can be in terms of the opponent. If he'd ever actually had to use his skills, which are really good, he can win a game like that as well, but he could dominate the scoreboard just with his mind.
Yeah, very impressive play. We are going to move on to Dust 2 as the next map and see if Valde can do it again. But this is, of course, Big's pick, and to dig into some of the tactics is going to be Alan over on the Telestrator.
Thank you very much, Monty. So what we're going to see here is a really great example of mid-round calling and communication from Big in a round played back at DreamHack Fall well over a month ago. And before we get into this one, I just want you to note that ZywOo is dead, and that it's very unlikely in this situation that there's going to be an AWP on the A bomb site. So watching this one play out, you can see they've got 2 players here towards the catwalk area and 3 towards long. What they're going to do, they're going to fake a catwalk execute with some smokes and some flashes, and then contact 3 players out of long, as you can see right now, just here, and trade onto RPK. And in this situation, with this fake from catwalk, they're putting so much pressure away from long and towards short, and because there was unlikely to be an AWP on A, contacting out along is really, really safe. And I just thought this round was a really great example of how much composure Big can have and how much class they can play with when they're really in top form. And I'm not sure during the playoffs we've seen them having so much composure. So going into this next map, will we see Big back in top form? Back to you guys on the desk.
Well, looking at the map pool as we head into Dust 2 and then Mirage, these have been Big's best maps in terms of win percentage over the last couple of months. Is this the start of the big comeback, or do you think there's a chance here for OG to close it out 2-0?
This has been one of the absolute prime maps for Big, but this is also the reason why I think that the work they did in the summer did a great job like advertising for them as a great team. But you look at the maps, it was maps like Dust 2, like Mirage, where they were just unbeatable. Just go ask FaZe Clan, they couldn't figure out how to beat these guys. But that was months ago. Like there's a reason that win rates dropped way, way, way down on Dust 2. I think they've even had some games at this tournament where it was like they looked a little bit touch and go. I don't necessarily know that OG are going to be monsters, so I'm not scared in that regard. I think it's still on Big if they want to win this match, but unlike that round he showed there, they haven't shown that composure for me on T-side at times. And especially, like the T-side, you can expect a certain level, but the CT sides, even from the first map, they just fall apart. Like, they either play too passive, or they just indiscriminately, when they have no money, go for crazy pushes that cost them immediately.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Big has going for them on the CT side moving forward, though, is that the Xantarez and Kido duo on the B bomb site is deadly. That stuff is just also crazy strong, especially when Kido picks up that second op, because when he's on that back plat position and Xantarez is covering for anyone that's coming mid to B with his rifle, they can just destroy entire B mid splits, and they don't need any help at all. So I will be looking out for them because I feel like OG should be targeting them in some respects. Xantarez, he's a player we didn't see come into this match into the form that we wanted to just yet, but man, some of the best highlights he's had all year have been on that B site, just defending it, especially even on a force buy round. You can never count out Xantarez, even with a deagle. Crazy stuff coming out from him, hopefully. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the stats that we have from Dust 2 over the last 3 months for both of these teams, because speaking of that CT side, that's where we are going to start. And Big, a little bit down on the CT side, as you might expect from Dust 2, but OG holding it over 50%.
I mean, those are great numbers for OG. I mean, look at that. You're winning like the majority of the rounds by a slight margin on CT side. It's a T-sided map. You're getting the opening kill. Even your utility is way higher. Better 5v4. Only it's when you're down a man that's not quite as good, which by the way is just the story of OG as a team. So, like, again, I think very, very positive. This just shows you, though, the fact that Big don't have a losing record on this map and they're not winning most of the TT rounds, they have to get it done on the T side. T side is where you know how healthy Big is when you play them.
Yeah, and when we switch over to the T side, yeah, that's the story of it. Big with the 57% win rate there. So impressive. The opening kill percentage is actually not above 50%, which is a little bit surprising. But the fact that when they do get that 5v4, that they win 85% of the time, that is
nasty.
Beautiful conversion rate. That's
really
exactly
good.
what Alan was talking about.
It speaks to the mid-round.
Exactly. When they know where one person died, they know exactly how to push and pull on the map. And whereas Alexi B was a master at calling on Inferno in the mid-round, I think Tabson is actually a genius when it comes to the mid-round on Dust 2.
So with that in mind, that we haven't seen Big maybe at their peak on Dust 2 over this tournament, they are 2-3 in the past like month or so of competition. Is this a map that you still expect Big to come out on top on, or does OG have a fighting chance here?
I'm favouring Big to take this map still. I'm thinking we're getting 3 maps, and it could be a very exciting third one, I have to say. Because in this scenario, like, OG's shown their own weaknesses. Like, they were losing themselves, like VP, MIB. There was teams that they were getting them on this one. So I feel like this is a map where, again, I actually agree. It's Inferno and Nuke is where Alexi B's in his masterclass zone, especially because, for reasons we can't necessarily go into, they're able to sort of tailor away some of the other issues they might have in their squad. I don't know that you can hide some of those players on Dust 2. And then add in, like we say, the control on the T side for Big. It's going to be really hard, I think, for OG to match up with that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like one thing that's always in the back pocket of a big CT side is that the fact that they can pull out a double op on Keto. When I look at NBK and Issa towards that B side, I don't really love when I see either of them opping there, so they pretty much have to play that double rifle setup. That being said, OG will sometimes go for that gamble stack towards B to try to remedy those problems. If they think that B side is getting just hammered over and over again, Alexi B will sometimes put himself in the fray of things and actually make things a little bit easier for his teammates over there.
And obviously, going back to the beginning of the series again, just watch Valde if he's around the long area. The guy's basically a highlight machine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good players to highlight, especially on the CT side from you guys. We are going to head into the map